Welcome to the Steve Ames Show with guitarist Sandy Renda, pianist Mike Yanuzzi, and my special guests, the Ed Michaels Duo. And now, on with the show. This is the Army, Mr. Jones. No private rooms or telephones. You've had your breakfast in bed before, but you won't have it there anymore. This is the Army, Mr. Green. We like the barracks nice and clean. You had a housemaid to clean your floor, but she won't help you out anymore. Do as the buglers command. They're in the Army and not in a band. This is the Army, Mr. Brown. You and your baby went to town. She had you worried, but this is war, and she won't help you out anymore. Play it. As the buglers command. They're in the Army and not in the band. This is the Army, Mr. Brown. You and your baby went to town. She had you worried, but this is war, and she won't worry you. No, she won't worry you. No, she won't worry you anymore. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Army, written by Irving Berlin. And This is the Army was the title tune of a Broadway show, which later became a Warner Brothers movie. And tonight we will be celebrating the music and lyrics of the great Irving Berlin in honor of Irving Berlin's birthday. He was born May 11th, 1888, in Russia. And talking about birthdays, I'd like you to meet a man who celebrates his birthday on May 30th, our pianist Mike Yanuzzi. Happy birthday. And I'd also like you to meet a man celebrating his birthday on May the 12th, our guitarist Sandy Renda. Happy birthday. And Irving Berlin wrote the show, This is the Army, during World War II. A generation earlier than that, he wrote a show for World War I. The show was called Yip Yip Yap Hank, and here's my favorite song from that score. I've been a soldier quite a while, and I would like to state the life is simply wonderful. The Army food is great. I sleep with 97 others in a wooden hut. I love them all, they all love me, it's very lovely, but oh, how I hate to get up in the morning. Oh, how I'd love to remain in bed, for the hardest blow of all is to hear the bugler call. You've gotta get up, you've gotta get up, you've gotta get up this morning. Someday I'm going to murder the bugler. Someday they're going to find him dead. I'll amputate his reveille and step upon it heavily and spend the rest of my life in bed. A bugler in the Army is the luckiest of men. He wakes the boys at 5 and then goes back to bed again. He doesn't have to blow again until the afternoon. If things go right, I think I might become a bugler soon. Oh, how I hate to get up in the morning. Oh, how I'd love to remain in bed, for the hardest blow of all is to hear the bugler call. You gotta get up, you gotta get up, you gotta get up this morning. Someday I'm going to murder the bugler. Someday they're going to find him dead, and then I'll the pup, the guy who wakes the bugler up, and spend the rest of my life in bed. Sandy, Randa, Mike Yanuzzi, happy birthday to both of you.
Thank you, thank you.
Wonderful birthday month, the month of May. You share your birthdays with Irving Berlin and so many other great people. Talking about great people, Sandy, you played recently with one of the really great people in the music business, George Benson.
That's right. That certainly was a great night. April 10th. It was for a special dedication at Englewood Hospital. And George Benson had a concert to do down the block at the Bergen Pack, I believe it is. And with the stand-up bass player who introduced me originally to George Benson, we had a 5-piece jazz group. And it was really a lot of fun, a great night. Really great night.
What were some of the numbers you did?
We did Breeze In, Satin Doll, and unfortunately we were supposed to do a couple of others, but George had to run down the block and do a concert at about 8 o'clock. He was very gracious. He used my guitar, so that was very nice. I played one of the other ones. We had an upright bass player, 2 keyboard players, and a drummer.
We're showing some pictures now.
Yeah,
You and George Benson.
Really, he's very gracious.
You
also.
had met him before, right?
Yeah, we fortunate enough to jam at his house about 7 years ago. We were there for about 3 hours, and that was a real good night. He remembered the band, and like I said, the fellow that I work with, who was an upright bass player, booked me for this particular situation also, and it was very enjoyable, really a lot of fun.
Well, that's wonderful.
And he's great. He's great.
I'm glad to hear that. Yes, I'm glad to hear that. And also, talking about great musicians, I want to mention that one of the great clarinetists and big band leaders of the swing era, Artie Shaw, would have been 100 years old this week.
Wow.
He was born on May 23rd, 1910.
A lot of May people, huh?
Yes, he was a great entertainer, clarinetist, band leader, and the Artie Shaw Orchestra had so many terrific hits. Stardust, Begin the Begin.
That was a great.
So many wonderful. You have nice memories of the Artie Shaw Band, Mike?
I like the Artie Shaw Band. As long as you're talking about birthdays, Benny Goodman and I have the same birthday.
That's right.
That's it.
The other great clarinetist from the big
That's
band
right.
era. That's right.
That
Craig
was more
Williams.
Benny Goodman. Craig Williams.
Also,
That famous bass player.
May 30th was Benny Goodman's birthday. You're absolutely right.
That's
so there
right.
must be something about the month. So
Or something
in
about
his long
August.
career, Artie Shaw played many songs by all the great composers, including Irving Berlin. I have a
Yep.
recording at home of Artie Shaw doing a song that you're going to do for us tonight. Tell us about it.
Blue Skies. It's a combination medley. Blue Skies and Alexander's Ragtime Band, 2 swingers.
Yes, sir.
Hope
Here-
we do it justice.
You will. Here are Sandy and Mike with Irving Berlin's Blue Skies and Alexander's Ragtime Band. Presenting our very special guests this evening, the Edward Michaels Duo, accompanied by our own Sandy Renda with a great jazz tune. Thank you, Edward Michaels, for coming on the show.
Thank
you. Thank you, Bob Nitkin. It's so nice to have you. But we are missing one member of the Edward Michaels trio. Tell us about Chris.
Yes, well, we have Chris Barnett, who's our bass player. Unfortunately, had some car trouble today, and he tried his best to get here, but he couldn't.
Got to give him a rain check.
Give him a rain check, okay? He made the best effort, and he spent about 2 hours trying to get the car started.
Can you believe that?
And he just couldn't. So we had to kind of improvise a little bit, but it went well. And Sandy Renda.
Sandy Renda substituted. Let's hear it for Sandy.
Let's hear it for Sandy.
He's terrific.
Sandy.
Did an absolutely fantastic job.
Isn't
and,
he?
Yeah, it was really great. So I appreciate that.
He was. And I also want to thank my very good friend, Richard Curtis, the Al Jolson singer who's been on the show many, many times. Dear friend of mine now for many, many years, for bringing you on the show.
Yes, I know Richie a long time. He's a member of my church because I'm a church organist in St. Mary's in Passaic. And he introduced me to you and introduced me to the show, which I'm very pleased and honored to be on.
That's right.
And
he sent me your CD.
Yes.
Jazz CD of a lot of great songs.
Yes, we had things like Ain't Misbehavin', Here's That Rainy Day, just to name a few. And we did that in 2007. So that
How many recordings have you done?
This is really the first one in a number of years. So I'm going
This
to.
is your first CD.
First CD, yes.
And
yes.
had you done tapes and records
We've
prior
done tapes
to that?
prior to that. We probably had about 10 or 15 CDs prior to that.
Very good. So how long has the Edward Michaels trio been together?
About a year. Yeah, about a year. And my drummer friend, Bob, I've known Bob about a year now.
So, Bob, how did you meet Edward?
Actually, it's a long story, but we were looking at real estate one day, and the fellow that was selling a house, I saw a drum, and I'm a drummer, so I had mentioned to him, and I said, I'm looking for a piano player or a jazz group to play with. And he said, well, my father is a pianist. And I said, really? So he gave me his number, and then I lost the number for a year. And about a year ago, I was doing my taxes, and I was digging through old information to try to find things for my tax return, and I found a piece of paper with the number.
See, doing
I
your
called.
taxes was a lucky
That's
thing.
right. I
Pays
called.
off.
And
I hope
his
you
wife,
paid your taxes.
Yes, I did. I called, and his wife was very happy that I called, and we got together pretty fast.
Well, that's wonderful. And when did Chris come into the trio?
Chris came into the trio, I'd say, maybe about 2 months, maybe 2 months.
So this
After
is
we
a
had started,
new,
yes.
fairly
Yeah, 2
new
months,
trio,
that's right,
yeah.
Edward. But you've been in the business a long time.
I've been in the business a long time. I've been playing approximately about 44 years professionally.
44 years.
44 years, yeah. Yeah, I'm 62 years old.
Well, you look good.
I look good, don't I? I'm only
Yes,
kidding.
you do. Now, you
Glad-
started as a single playing.
I started as a single. I started as a single piano player. But in the early 60s, I'm sorry, the late 60s, I started in a place called the Open Door. And the true story, I played with Tony Orlando just before they became Dawn. We did some gigs, and right after that, the group was supposed to back him up, but it never turned around for some reason for us. And
so
then
this was before Tony Orlando had all those big hits.
Right, this is before Tony Orlando's all these big hits.
Coincidentally, his songs were written by a friend of mine, Erwin Levine.
Yes,
He wrote
yeah,
most of those
yeah,
songs.
yeah, very good
that's
writer.
Right.
And
Russell Brown.
Russell Brown, and I've done some things with Frankie Lane in the past.
Really?
Yes.
When did you play for Frankie Lane?
Oh, back in about 1973, we did actually another cable show.
Really?
Yeah, it was actually a cooking show.
Where was that?
This was I can't remember exactly the town. I think it might have been in Paramus.
Right here in New Jersey.
Right in New Jersey. And
Wow. Do you remember the songs Frankie Lane sang?
We did Rawhide.
Oh, yes. That
We
was a
did
big
Rawhide,
hit of his.
and that was the only song we did because we were supposed to do another one, and for some reason they ran short of time, and that was the end of that. So that cut my career at Frankie
Well,
Lane.
Frankie Lane, one of the great entertainers, one of my personal favorites.
He was really great.
What a voice he had.
really good.
So tell me, you've got a website. You want to give it out?
Yes, I have a website. It's called EdwardMichaelsTrio.com. Okay, so if you type in www.edwardmichaelstrio.com, you'll come to my website and you can download some tunes that you can listen to, and hopefully you'll like them. I post my dates that we're playing from time to time. I'm planning on another CD, hopefully in the next 3 to 4 months. So you look for that, and I'll place that on my CD also.
What are your favorite types of tunes to play?
I like all of the standards.
Me too.
All the things that you do, I love.
Thank you.
Here's That Rainy Day, as I said. I Can't Get You Under My Skin. I Got You Under My Skin.
I've got you under my skin, Cole Porter.
Cole Porter. A lot of Irving Berlin. Night and Day.
Oh, those are great songs. What about Bob's favorite songs?
I like the standards. I like. I like most of the jazz standards. What I really like is big band jazz, but
Me too,
It's hard
yes.
to find a big band, and it's hard to.
Did you like Artie Shaw and Benny
Artie
Goodman?
Shaw was great. Buddy Rich was a great drummer.
Buddy
He played with
Rich,
Artie
yes.
Shaw.
Gene
and he
Krupa
played with
must have
Benny
been an
Goodman.
idol.
Gene Krupa was an idol, but he was much more before my time. Buddy Rich was more 50s, 60s. Joe Morello is one of my favorite drummers. Actually, I studied with Joe for a while, and most of the older drummers, the classic drummers, the masters are all gone. Louis Bellson had just passed away. Buddy Rich died about 15 years ago, and there's not anybody left. Max Roach, the newer drummers that are coming up, some of them are pretty good, but now it's.
Well, you're keeping the tradition
Well,
alive.
I'm trying. I think I'm in my 53rd year. I love drum corps. That's the other side of music that I like. I like rudimental drumming, and I think a lot of drummers that are coming up should learn that style of drumming and rudiment so they can play instead of just doing what everybody else does. So
That's right.
it's not too late to learn. I'd like to even study again, but
It's never too late.
No.
And now you've got a great Duke Ellington number coming up for us. Please introduce it.
Yes, we're going to play for you Take the A Train, and I hope you enjoy it.
with Sandy Renda as the third
Yes, I'm sorry,
substitute
with
member.
Sandy Randa as
Yes.
the very first substitute.
Let's hear it for Ed Michaels. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Steve.
you.
Bob Nitkin.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Irving Berlin and Fred Astaire were very good friends, and they celebrated their birthdays one day apart, Fred Astaire having been born on May 10th, 1899. Irving Berlin wrote the score for 6 movies starring Fred Astaire, including 3 featuring Fred and Ginger Rogers. From the RKO film Carefree, here's my favorite song from that score. Must you dance every dance with the same fortunate man? You have danced with him since the music began. Won't you change partners and dance with me? Must you dance quite so close, with your lips touching his face? Can't you see I'm longing to be in his place? Won't you change partners and dance with me? Ask him to sit this one out, and while you're alone, I'll tell the waiter to tell him he's wanted on the telephone. You've been locked in his arms ever since heaven knows when. Won't you change partners, and then you may never want to change partners again. Ask him to sit this one out, and while you're alone, I'll tell the waiter to tell him he's wanted on the telephone. You've been held in his arms ever since heaven knows when. Won't you change partners, and then you may never want to change partners again.